Hello everybody, welcome to today's tips and tricks video for Town of Salem. Today we're going to be talking about the serial killer role, the role where you have to kill everybody and not about killing cereal. So some of you might think, well, just kill everyone, it's that simple. Well, there are a few ways where sometimes it's not that simple. Sometimes you can't kill somebody, maybe they're immune. Sometimes you'll get lynched. That's a very big problem for the serial killer. Or sometimes you may just come across a veteran who will shoot you dead and leave you to rot in the chat room of hell. So, who exactly should you target to make sure that you can continue your mass killing spree? Well, the first thing you should always target is investigative roles. This doesn't include the spy, as they're no threat to you. This mainly includes the sheriff and the lookout. Now you may be thinking, hold on, what about the investigator? Well, I'll get to that in a minute. The main problem with the sheriff is that he can pinpoint you exactly. He will get a message saying your target must be a serial killer and there is nothing to deny that. That is bad, as he will point it out and get you lynched. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon for the rest of your life. Similar problems with the lookout include knowing that you visited the person who died yesterday, specifically to a serial killer. That is bad. Sometimes you'll get lucky and there's another person to visit that person the same day, but most of the time you'll be outed immediately. Now, why shouldn't you worry about the investigator role? Well, that's simple, because the investigator role can be fooled if you're a serial killer. An investigator will come up with the message saying that your target works with knives. They can either be a serial killer or a doctor. Now, this is a point that you should take note of, that claiming doctor as a serial killer is the smartest choice to make, if it's possible via the role list. Even if there's an any spot and you can see that it's been taken up by something else, try and claim it, because people will always take note of the any spot and not work out which role was actually the any spot. Therefore, you can just say, I'm the any spot, I'm the doctor, and you'll most of the time get away with it. Not always, because the human factor always has to be added into whatever you're thinking of doing. Next we move on to the next town role that will prove to be the biggest thorn in your side, which is the jailer. Now, if the jailer jails you and you survive the whole 30 minutes without being executed, you will kill that jailer dead. That is one of the best parts. However, that can also prove to be a massive thorn in your side if they put in their will that you killed them, because they can just put jailing such and such tonight, if I die, he killed me. Now, this may not be true in all cases of that happening. Remember, the serial killer can attack the jailer himself. Therefore, if you were jailed, point out that I was in jail, but I'm not a serial killer, the serial killer must have done it himself. Now again, working out roles is something I'll cover in a later video, but for now I'll just say that if you can work out who the jailer is through such like them saying in the chat, or sly comments like such and such can't be the Mafia because I jailed him, or can't, just simply saying he can't be without any proof at all, probably means that there's something investigative or a jailer, which is something you want dead, because they can get you lynched. Remember, the serial killer is immune at night, which means you're safe from almost every killing role except for the arsonist. Therefore, your biggest fear as a serial killer will always be the town. So you have to make sure not to get on their bad side, or not to get lynched, basically. Now this brings you on to the next thing. Arsonists are your biggest problem you will ever face as a serial killer. If you are doused, you are marked for death. So what can you do? Well, the serial killer can work out who the arsonist is by attacking people. If somebody comes up as immune, they're either the godfather, the arsonist, an executioner, a survivor, or a bodyguard, I believe, comes up as immune if he puts on a vest. Now, this may seem like a wide range of things, but 9 out of 10 times, whoever you've attacked is probably a bad guy for the town. So, if you say such and such is like this, then you can either say that you just have a gut feeling, which will carry the least credibility in the eyes of the town, but it may be enough. Or you can take a risk and say that you're an investigative role, or the vigilante, and you shot him and he's immune. Now, those two things will directly conflict if you're trying to be a doctor. So if you know who it is, you can just sort of slyly try and move against him, saying, I think he's bad, he hasn't talked, or he talks too much, or I don't like his face. There's loads of ways to go around it, but it all depends on how much you want to risk on getting rid of the arsonist once you've been marked by it. Right. Next I'll go on to the worst of the investigative roles that can get you is the consigliere. Now, you might be thinking, well, what's the difference between him and the investigator? Well, the consigliere wants you dead. The entire Mafia wants the serial killer dead, as you can murder their faces. If you murder their faces, it'll decrease their chances to win, and they want you gone. They will try and get you lynched no matter what. So if at all possible, try and avoid getting on the Mafia's radar. If you're too town friendly, that might get them to attack you. However, again, you want to be friendly to the town so they don't lynch you. So how do you solve that? Well, you can try and target the Mafia as well if you like. Getting rid of the consigliere is something I would say is a top priority if you're not doused. So that's something you should try to. If you don't know there's a consigliere there and you know somebody's Mafia, it might be a good idea to attack them and limit their movements. If there are 2 Mafia instead of 3, the townies will be a bit less inclined to lynch because they think it's alright. And that might spare you if they start trying to hunt for people. Now on to something. Always be on the lookout for people who are saying, please don't kill me, I'm important, I don't want to die, etc, etc. These people are the most likely to be veterans. If you attack them, they will shoot you dead and you're gone. Veterans are the biggest thorn in your side, aside from the consigliere, you will ever find in this game. So at all costs, figure out who's the veteran and avoid them like the plague. Most veterans, however, after the first 3 nights, will not go on alert. They've either used it the first 2 nights and got nothing, and then will save the last one in case they need a showdown at the end, or they just use all 3 in a row because they don't know what they're doing. I've seen that countless times, it happens. So if you think that they're not going to be on alert, do them in. Stop them from killing you. It's a good plan to get rid of all roles that can kill you as quickly as possible. Another thing is, it's probably a good idea to keep at least one of the Mafia alive. If the Godfather and, say, a consigliere are dead and there's 1 Mafia left and you know who it is, probably a good idea not to go for them, because if you're going with the whole plan of being friendly to the town, then once you get to the 3-person showdown at the end, possibly between a Mafia, a serial killer and a unknown town role, you want the townie on your side, because that townie then dictates who wins, the serial killer or the Mafia, and it's mostly going to be a popularity contest when that happens. So if you've been friendly and the Mafia have been killing off people left, right and centre, if you make your death note friendly, then they're much more likely to get rid of the Mafia because they don't like them. It's something that happens, people do it. It's quite funny. Okay, yeah, I think that's everything I can say. Now, oh, there is one more thing. Executioners have a very big tendency to call out serial killers. Like, say their target is a serial killer. If you say that the person who's targeting you is an executioner, especially if it's day 1, then you'll throw the town into confusion and maybe buy yourself another day. From there you can plan on and see what happens. Alright. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about today. Hope you're all getting good at Town of Salem. I don't know if my tips help at all, but I really hope they do. But so yeah, stay frosty guys. Bye bye.